Hey fellow rub lovers, this is Geo's Rub and Stuff coming at you with another video tutorial. Today we're going to be doing beef chuck short ribs. I found these at Costco. You can find them at plenty of the markets, but Costco does have a good deal on them. Now this will be about a 10 to 12 hour smoke time, so I'm going to go ahead and come back in a second here. I'm going to open these up and show you how to remove the silver skin from the top of the short rib. Getting them out of the package here. Once you get the short ribs out, you'll see it has this silver skin here. Do you see that silvery skin? You want to be sure to remove all of that prior to rubbing with any rubs. So here I'm just going to try to remove as little as I can and get that silver skin out of there. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these ribs all prepped up, and once I remove the silver skin from all the ribs, we'll come back and put rub on the ribs. Okay guys, so we went ahead and removed all that skin. You see how pretty the ribs look now? They're all done. We're doing 4 racks today. So now what we're going to do is going to go ahead and hit them with a little bit of olive oil. This is some Locals Farmers Market oil actually. Gonna give it a quick dousing there. I know a lot of folks may think I removed a lot of the fat. These ribs are so fatty that you really want to try to remove some of those big canals there, because otherwise you won't get the right bark you're looking for. I like a real thick, heavy bark, and it will be a bit chewy if you don't remove enough of the fat. Now we're just gonna put a serious coat of rub on these ribs. I like a real thick bark on my ribs. I know this looks like a lot, but when you sit there and smoke this for 10 or 12 hours, this is going to caramelize and turn into a really nice bark. So we're going to go ahead and do all these other ribs, and then we'll come back for a second after that. Alright, we got them all rubbed down. Real thick layer of sweet heat. Didn't mention that earlier, but this is all sweet heat for this one. That's what we like around here for the beef short ribs. Thick layer. One thing I did forget to mention is no need to remove the membrane from the back of the ribs. Just remove that silver skin from the top of the ribs. The other part will cook down, and you'll pretty much won't even be worrying about it at that point. But these are now coated. I'm going to let them sit in the fridge for about 12 hours. I plan on starting the smoker about 2:30 a.m. tomorrow. So we'll check back in once we fire up the smoker and get the ribs on the barbecue. So, see you tomorrow. Alright guys, 3:30 a.m. Just threw the ribs on here. Got my pit running at about 250. We'll check back here in a couple hours for some progress. Alright guys, here we are 2 hours in. Starting to suck up from the bone there a little bit. We are at about 150 degrees or so, so we have a long way to go. We're looking for about 195 or 200. We'll wrap them once they hit about 165 or 170. But they will be slowing down a bit now. About 2 hours in. It is now 5:30 a.m. We'll check back in another couple of hours. Here we are. About 4 hours in. It is now 7:30 a.m. Really starting to pull back from the bone now. You can see I got a couple probes in there. Probes are holding around 170. Like I said, it does start to slow down quite a bit at this temp. It's called the stall actually, so it can stall out for a couple of hours. It's where the moisture is evaporating faster than it can heat up, so it actually maintains a temp for quite some time. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'll probably be wrapping here pretty quick. I want to get the bark a little bit darker. I do like a nice thick bark. So I'll let them roll another hour or two and then I'll wrap. Alright guys, 5 hours in. So about an hour after last check-in. Bark's looking good, pulling away good. They're both around 170, 175. I got the bark I'm looking for. I'm going to go ahead and wrap. I'll show you what that looks like once we get it all wrapped up. Just going to use butcher paper Has no wax on it, but you can use foil. It's up to you. All wrapped up. Just wrapped them tightly with butcher paper. You can see I have my probe still in there, so I can check temp. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more charcoal so I can keep this rolling for several more hours. It will take a bit to get up to 200, or the 195 to 200 range, just depending on how the meat probes is what you're looking for. You want it to probe like butter. So once we get that all set up, we'll come back in a couple hours and check in on it. Here we are, about 10.5 hours in, all finished up. I'm getting ready to pull them off. We're going to let them rest for probably around 3 hours just because of the time of day it is. You want to let them rest for at least 1 hour. So 1 hour will be just fine, but we're going to go ahead and let them rest for 3 hours or so, and we're going to do that by wrapping them tightly in towels. Leave them in the butcher paper here, wrap it tightly in towels, and then put it in a cooler or an ice chest. It will keep for 3-4 hours easily, nice and warm and ready to go. So we'll come back when we're serving this up. Alright, end result. Just unwrapped the first rack here. You can see how much give is in that meat. That's how you know this stuff is going to be good. Go ahead and give her a cut. Oh man, look at that. Look at this puppy, rack number 2. Oh my gosh. It's always good to have a sharp knife. And who wants to serve this up to their fam? That one just came right on. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Beef chuck short ribs. Gio's rubbing stuff. Like us on Facebook for more tutorials coming soon.